Hi, my name is Ruby Hutchison and I am a Year 9 student at St Hildas School. On the 25th of April 2015 commemorated the 100th anniversary of the Gallipoli landing. It is where the Anzac legend was born and the day when all Australians and New Zealanders remember those who died in all wars, conflicts and peacekeeping operations. The spirit of Anzac, with its human qualities of courage, mateship and sacrifice, continues to have meaning and relevance for our sense of national identity. To honour this event, on the 26th of March 2015, my family and I embarked on a 36-day cruise on the MSC Orchestra cruise ship from Fremantle, Western Australia, to be a part of a once-in-a-lifetime journey and to participate in the 100th anniversary of the Gallipoli landing. As per the Anzacs in 1915, our first port of call was the city of Albany, Western Australia. This is the original location where Australian and New Zealand soldiers embarked and began their journey to Gallipoli. Our cruise took the same route as the convoy, leaving from Albany. After 4 days of sailing and covering 1,853 nautical miles in the Indian Ocean, we stopped at the resting place of HMAS Sydney, where we had a minute of silence and a service to commemorate the 645 souls aboard the HMAS Sydney, who perished on the 19th of November 1941. After travelling for another 7 days and crossing the equator, we arrived in the Northern Hemisphere. We then sailed towards Colombo, Sri Lanka. 5 days passed and 1,560 nautical miles later, we arrived in port for a day to travel and see the different cultures of the country. On the evening of the 5th of April, we sailed for the port of Safaga, Egypt. In the Red Sea, after sailing for 7 days and 3,252 nautical miles across the Indian Ocean, we disembarked in Safaga, Egypt, where the Anzacs trained in the late 1914s. This was an amazing experience as we got to visit the Giza pyramids and Sphinx, where the famous First World War Cheops pyramid photograph was taken. 685 Anzacs sat smiling, whether they were holding their mate up if he was wounded, or whether he was smiling to be a proud Anzac. After Egypt, we sailed through the Gulf of Suez and the Suez Canal, where 50 cargo ships travel through each day. Then towards Gallipoli, where we were thrilled to be finally disembarking after 23 days of travelling. On the 17th of April, I was finally going to be stepping onto the land where the Anzacs fought for their country and king. As we ported in Chinakali and drove to Anzac Cove, we did tours in all memorable sites such as the North Beach, Anzac Cove, Lone Pine, Quinn's Post, the Neck and Shrapnel Gully. As I stood on Anzac Cove and looked up to the Neck, it was hard to believe how the Anzacs managed to climb up the steep terrain. My great-great-uncle Herbert Harrington was in the first landing party of the Anzacs and fought at Lone Pine and survived to return to Australia. It was an amazing experience to visit all the cemeteries of the Anzacs and to remember them and commemorate their loss. As we walked along the North Beach, it was hard to realise all the soldiers arriving here not knowing what to expect when they landed ashore. A few days after, we travelled the Greek islands and then it was Anzac Day. That morning, we woke at around 4 a.m. and got ready for the Anzac dawn service, televised live from Anzac Cove as we were anchored 1 nautical mile offshore. As the whole ship waited for the service to start on deck, a crowd of over 2,500 passengers watched the service. Then came the minute of silence when everyone stood still and remembered them. John Williamson sang True Blue and Waltzing Matilda. Bruce Woodley sang I Am Australian, bringing the ship to tears and a very emotional experience. After the incredible opportunity to be at Anzac Cove on Anzac Day, we then visited Istanbul, Kusadasi, Athens, Palermo, Naples, and then finished in Rome. This trip was a trip of a lifetime and one that I will never forget. To commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Gallipoli landings, lest we forget.